we watch, we observe, and then we strike. Welcome to Crypto Strikers. My name is Frank. The channel I want to subscribe to for Bitcoin, altcoin, and other crypto analysis. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Bitcoin price. We're also going to take a look at Ethereum. You want to find out with me my price target for the Bitcoin price and where I feel the price of Bitcoin might be heading to at the immediate short term, and also my price target for the long term as well. We saw Bitcoin move to $67,000 and it was highly rejected down to $58,000. What is next for the price of Bitcoin? You want to find out with me where do I feel Bitcoin price might be heading to after this huge rejection that we saw at the $67,000 range. Will Bitcoin eventually move back up to the $67,000 range, or we are going to see more pullback in the price of Bitcoin? You want to find out with me in this video. And if this is your first time meeting me on the channel, kindly click on the notification bell icon, click on the subscribe button, and give this video a thumbs up to support my channel. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video of today. Alright guys, so as you can see, Bitcoin is in this ascending broadening wedge and is finding support right now at the trending line that we have at this ascending broadening wedge, and this trending line is sitting around the $60,000 range. The moment Bitcoin will broke out from this $60,000 range, it eventually means we're going to see a pullback like this in the price of the Bitcoin. We're going to see a pullback once Bitcoin break this particular trend line, because this trend line has been acting as a very strong support for the price of Bitcoin. We can see this trend line was supporting the price of Bitcoin all through this place, even when the price of Bitcoin eventually broke out from this trend line, from this particular support. We saw a buyback in the price of Bitcoin, and that eventually took the Bitcoin price up to the top of the wedge as well. So if similar thing were to occur here, we're going to see something like that occur. But the main thing I'm trying to say here is that the moment Bitcoin breaks this particular trend line that we have here, we're going to see a pullback. So that will lead the Bitcoin price to dip much more further. So where do I feel the price of Bitcoin might head to after it breaks out from this particular trend line that we have here? There might be some little scenario I want to point out to you guys, but before then, let's take a look at the moving average and see what is really happening when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. So as you can see that right now the moving average that we have here, we have the 21 exponential moving average, which is the blue line that we have here, and the 55 exponential moving average. We saw that the 55 exponential moving average is acting as a very strong resistance for the price of Bitcoin. It's preventing the price of Bitcoin to eventually goes way above this particular price range of $61,000. This is like preventing the Bitcoin price from going further upward. So if this 21 and 55 exponential moving average that we have up here will be serving as a very huge resistance for the price of Bitcoin, it means we're going to see some pullback in the price of Bitcoin. And once that pullback happens, eventually the price of Bitcoin will break out from this trend line that we have here, and then see much more movement to the downside. But right now there is another scenario I want you guys to take a look. Let's take a look at the MACD, so you guys will be able to see what I'm trying to say. Right now, this is the MACD on the 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, and as you can see, when Bitcoin was around the $67,000 range, that was when we had this cross for the MACD, and then we saw this pullback in the price of the price of Bitcoin, and eventually you can see we are trying to form a cross in the MACD. We are trying to form something like this. Let me show it to you guys. We are trying to form something like this, and then we will see the signal line of the MACD eventually, cross over this MACD line as well. So when this happens, the price of Bitcoin will flip into a bullish mode. And remember that MACD that I just draw here, I will show you guys a scenario why I feel that stuff that I just draw for the MACD is what will most likely play out in the price of Bitcoin. Let's take a look at this one, guys. Now this is the Bitcoin price at the 4-hour time frame in a different scenario. I prepared something for you guys that now if we take a look at this, let's take a look at this first one that we have here. We saw Bitcoin is still in this ascending channel that we have here, and then eventually Bitcoin has broke out from this ascending channel. But where would Bitcoin eventually be heading to after breaking out from this ascending channel? Now if we take a look at this second ascending channel that we have here, we saw that when Bitcoin eventually broke out from this ascending channel, we find a support at a particular range and find movement to the upside, we trace backward much more deeper and find another movement, which is the original movement to the upside. Now, if we do something like this, let me take the fib retracement from this swing low here, and let me stop it at the swing high that we have here. Let me stop it at the swing high that we have here. There's a scenario I want to show to you guys. Now, if I take the fib extension from this swing low to this swing high that we have here, we saw that the moment Bitcoin broke out from this ascending wedge, we found out that the 0.382 was acting as a very strong support for the price of Bitcoin, and eventually the price of Bitcoin find movement back to the upside. It find movement back to the 0.236 fib retracement level. Now you can see the price did not like really goes way below past this 0.382, but the least point which this price will eventually goes down to is this 0.5 fib extension, which we have here, which is sitting around the 40,700 range as of when this happened. Like, it didn't go below past this 0.5 fib extension. So now there's a scenario that have happened in the past that I want you guys to take a look at as well. You can see that the moment when Bitcoin was in this ascending channel, when it broke out from this ascending channel, you can see that Bitcoin never goes down back below this 0.5 fib extension. It finds support at this 0.5 fib extension, and from there we saw the Bitcoin price start another movement from this particular point here. We saw a movement to the upside. So now if we go back again, you will see that a pretty scenario, something similar like this, has been happening in the price of Bitcoin. Let me show it to you guys. Now you can see when we take the fib extension from this swing low to this swing high here as well, when Bitcoin eventually broke out from this ascending channel, it never goes below this 0.5 fib extension. You can see it finds support at the 0.32s fib extension and start another movement to the upside. And if you take a look at the downside, you find out that the RSI as well, when the RSI was around there at the point of breakout, we saw a movement to the downside. We saw a movement to the downside, which is signified the 30 range of the RSI, before we now saw an actual movement to the upside, which is this movement that we have here. Now, pretty similar scenario is happening here as well. You can see it happened here. It happened here in February 2021. It also happened in November 2020. And we can see even just in August, the same pretty scenario happened as well. Similar scenario happened in August as well. You can see when the RSI was around this range, that was when we saw this breakout at this ascending wedge. And once that breakout happened, it never goes below past the 0.5 fib extension. Bitcoin finds support there and then start another movement to the upside. And you can see when that breakout happened, you can see the RSI have not like really got to the 30 range, and but eventually we saw a movement to the downside before we saw another rally to the upside. Now this is what is happening with the price of Bitcoin now. What do you guys really think? What I'm feeling now is that if I do the same thing which I did earlier by taking the fib extension from this particular swing low that we have here, let me take the fib extension from this swing low that we have here and let me put it at this swing high at this point of rejection here, we will see that, and put it at the swing high that we have here. So we'll see that the Bitcoin price has already broke out from this particular ascending way, just the way it happened here, and two other scenarios that I'll show you guys just now. Now we've already seen the breakout from this particular point here, and we can see, look at the RSI guys. The RSI is not really at the 30 range, so it means that we are going to see a movement like this. We are going to see much more movement on the RSI to the downside, just the way we saw here and just the way we saw in the other two scenario I just showed to you guys just now. So we're going to see a movement to the 30 range of the RSI, and when that movement in the 30 range of the RSI occur, that is when we are going to see this price of Bitcoin eventually comes down back to touch this 0.382 fib extension that we have here. And then once the price comes to this 0.382 extension that we have here, which is sitting around $56,000 range, we're going to see a movement like this in the price of Bitcoin to retest this 0.236 fib extension that we have here before we can now see something like this again for the price of Bitcoin to come down back to the 0.5 fib extension, and from there the original rally to the upside like this. We just start. I'm not saying that we're going to see a straight movement like this, but in this particular manner, in this particular direction, we are most likely going to see the price of Bitcoin to follow this particular pattern to eventually move to the upside. So in the immediate short term, it just like signified that we are going to see a pullback in the price of Bitcoin, and that pullback will take us to the price target of $56,000 to $57,000 range. So guys, once you see the Bitcoin price move to $56,000 to $57,000 range, don't panic. It's really normal for the price of Bitcoin, so you don't really need to panic when you see a pullback in the price of Bitcoin, and that pullback will eventually take us back to the $56,000 range for Bitcoin, and then from there we're going to see another movement to the upside. So it really makes sense that you can see the RSI have not really got to the 30 range. So if this scenario wants to happen, the RSI will come to the 30 range, and we're going to see a movement to the downside, and then we'll find support at the 0.382 fib extension that we have here, which is sitting around $56,000 to $57,000 range, before we'll see another movement to the upside. So it really makes sense like that. And so that is one scenario I want to like show point out to you guys. Also, there's another scenario here that I want to show to you guys, so you guys will be able to see. You can see that the price of Bitcoin is really finding it very difficult to break past through this moving average that we have here, and eventually if we broke out from this trend line that we have here, we're going to see that pullback I was mentioning just now, that we're going to go to the 0.382 fib extension, which will take the Bitcoin price to $56,000 to $57,000 range, and that will take the Bitcoin price to somewhere around here. So it literally means from this particular point here, we're going to see support around here for the price of Bitcoin. We're going to see something like this. So we're going to see support for the price of Bitcoin. So eventually, if the price of Bitcoin broke out from this particular ascending broadening wedge that we have here, we can see something like this in the price of Bitcoin. You can see the price of Bitcoin do something like this, and then consolidate a bit, come down here, and eventually find support here and move to the upside as well. So that is what I really have for you guys. And so just sit back, relax, and once you see a pullback in the price of Bitcoin, don't really panic, because it's expected and is needed for us to see much more higher price target for the price of Bitcoin. A pullback in the price of Bitcoin, it only gives the price of Bitcoin more energy to move to the upside. So it's much more healthy for the price of Bitcoin to retrace back to some particular price range before it eventually heads to the upside. So that's pretty much what I have for you guys in this video. If you find value in this video, kindly click on the notification bell icon, click on the subscribe button as well, and give this video a thumbs up to support my channel. So without further ado, I'll catch you guys in the next video. So as always, peace out.